Ah, Lukas. A poor child who really needs a hug. He's been through more pain in his childhood than most people have their entire... Wait, hold on. This isn't the right Lukas from Nintendo. Ah, Lukas. Honestly, one of the more forgettable Pokemon trainers, in part due to how much Dawn overshadows him in popularity, in part because of his stupid hat. Oh, wait just a second, this isn't the right Lukas either! How many of these Lukases does Nintendo have? Oh, just the 3? Well, I guess this opening gag is just gonna kinda awkwardly peter out now, huh? Lukas character analysis, yay! Back in Fire Emblem Gaiden, character writing really didn't exist for anyone. They said their line, they joined your army, and then they never spoke again for the entire game. Hell, some of them even had copy-pasted character endings, like they couldn't even have that unique for them. So when Gaiden was being remade, the writers had the daunting task of making unique characters out of those one lines of dialogue, and I think they pulled through. Echoes has one of the liveliest casts in the series. Gray and Tobin's friendship, May and Bowie's bickering, Clive and Matilda. I could go on and on about all the amazing characters and dynamics. But among all of that personality, Lukas stands a bit more subdued than the rest. He's a very reserved kind of person. And I thought that today, we would look into the Ginger Stud and see what's with the certified tank of the Deliverance. Lukas arrives at the very beginning of the game, coming to the backwater Ram village looking for General Myson. He reveals that King Lima Bean has been killed, and that war is about to overtake the entire country from up north. He comes in and spews some exposition about the war, and then accepts Alm's offer to join the Deliverance when Myson doesn't want to due to plot reasons. Lukas's early story beats serve to guide the inexperienced Ram villagers. He gives both gameplay-related help and story-related help to Alm, teaching him the importance of not fighting every fight you can find. Of course, Alm promptly ignores this and fights every fight he can find, but hey, you really can't blame Lukas for trying. Lukas continues to act as a mentor for Alm and the player up until the Deliverance hideout, where he gets a chance to shine as a character. Once Alm arrives there, Fernand starts berating him for his common birth, and Lukas sticks his neck out there for Alm, shaming Fernand for such closed-minded thinking. This argument comes to a head when Clive appoints Alm as the leader of the Deliverance, and when Fernand says that he should rip out Lukas's tongue for thinking that's even halfway close to a good idea, Lukas delivers his most famous line, and, honestly, what might be the most famous line in the entire game.
I'll rip that traitorous tongue from your throat! Then you'll finally have the truth in your grasp.
God, I love that line. You know, if I were a different kind of YouTuber, I might put that with the backdrop of the meme of everyone going, "Whoa!" and then like MLG Pro horns in the background. But I'm not gonna do that.
You just got coconut mold.
And after that amazing line and delivery, Lukas does nothing else of note for the entire game. Oh, he's still there, but he just serves to sort of give an address to the state of whatever's going on in the story. He says some plot stuff about the Royal Sword, or about Nui Baba's abode, nothing really that interesting or personal to him. His only other line of note from this point on is when he's selected on the final map. He remarks that fighting a god is, quote, exhilarating. If fighting a corrupt dragon god in the depths of a shit-ass swamp dungeon is Lukas's idea of a good time, I'd hate to see his idea of a bad time. However, he does bear an important role in the prequel DLC for the game, in which case he acts as a sort of negotiator for the Deliverance. In the DLC, the Deliverance is stranded in Castle Zofia, surrounded on all sides by Regel's forces, and their doom seems impending. However, Clive and Lukas have a single trump card still left up their sleeve, threatening innocent bystanders. They've rounded up all the Regelians who were trying to flee the city before Regel attacked, and Lukas threatens to kill them all should the Deliverance not be allowed to escape safely. It's a kinda holy shit moment that reminds me of Micaiah pouring oil on Benyon and getting ready to set them all on fire. It almost makes you forget you're watching the good guys. It also helps enforce the schism between Lukas and Fernand, as Fernand is, in my opinion rightfully, disturbed by Lucas's methods into getting them to safety. Lukas himself isn't even on board with it fully, but he believes as though some morals have to be sacrificed if they're to live to fight another day. This entire scene is great, as it's cool to watch, helps flesh out relationships among the characters, and gives some insight to how Lukas feels about everything he's doing. Me! Haha! Got him! For those unaware, which I don't know how you wouldn't be aware at this point, I have a Patreon, where you can give me money in exchange for benefits like early access to major videos. You can even get a high enough tier to vote on polls for future videos on the channel. Like right now, it's a contest between FE6 and 7, and though Legault has a lead, it's only by 2 votes. You could change that. My patrons include the likes of Andrew Crockett, Atomic X160, follow Pen to the North Star on Twitch, subscribe to Great Riek, Green Brigand, Hell on Heelys, My Anus is Bleeding, Kieran Morin, Lightning Bolt, Me Do a Gamer, Memi, Michael Hamilton, Nember, Nevrix the Fallen Shield Guy, Ranger Man Sam, Ryan Walter, Space1255, Steph D, Tato, Wideman, Anti-Ginger, Brentendo11, Drew Hack, Kazu Foxfire, and Max, and Sazegi. Thank you guys very much for all your support, and let's get back to the video! You can also talk to Lukas in towns and dungeons to get more conversations out of him, and those base conversations reveal more of his story. Lukas, despite being of noble blood, is mocked as a quote, backwater noble due to how far out in the boonies his family comes from. This helps him relate to Alm a little bit, as like him, Lukas had to earn his place in life. It wasn't handed to him like other nobles. The base conversations also reveal his disdain for the current nobility, as he thinks they're hoarding the opportunities for able commoners to find success in the country. This portrays him as an educated and fair man. Despite being a noble, he is keenly aware of their corruption and hopes to change it for the better of the world. He also reveals that he has an elder half-brother, though not one that likes him very much. Despite the fact that his brother will inherit their noble title because he's the older one, he still viewed Lukas as a rival to his ambitions. It was his brother's insistence that Lukas join the Deliverance, though it was actually part of a scheme of his brother. As Lukas puts it, quote, if Desai had won, he could simply feign ignorance, but if the Deliverance won, his brother could name himself as its benefactor. Despite the reasons he enlisted, Lukas is still proud to fight on the side of righteousness, which again helps present his character as likable. Making the best of a situation a shitty family member put you in is a relatable story for many, and helps Lukas be easy to empathize with. Moving on to supports, Lukas has 3 of them, though only one in the base game. The other 2 you have to buy the DLC for, so hand Daddy Nintendo your credit card information. His Clive support has Clive express gratitude that he can rely on Lukas to be level-headed at any given moment, but this praise bothers Lukas. See, Lukas always has a calm demeanor about everything. Literally everything. Despite what he wants to feel, he can't bring himself to feel strong emotions like sorrow, love, envy, or disgust. He's forever neutral to life. This feeling genuinely bothers him, though Clive reassures him that such a level-headedness is a virtue, not a problem, completely missing that Lukas is genuinely bothered by it. Clive does eventually realize that Lukas is upset and tries to cheer him up by calling him, quote, a fiery presence. A lie so obvious Lukas calls it out immediately, though Lukas does seem to be cheered up by Clive's attempt to make him feel better. Putting a quick pin on that apathy thing for a moment, his Forsyth support shows that Lukas does, in fact, have a hobby: reading. Lukas is quite a bookworm, though his father wanted him to be a knight, so Lukas was forced to swing a sword around instead of read a book. Forsyth, meanwhile, was the opposite. He wanted to be a knight, but his father wanted him to be a scholar, so it was off to the books for him as a child. The two bond and have a good laugh over their very similar yet polar opposite circumstances, and it's a charming scene of camaraderie. This is another moment of Lukas rolling with the punches life has dealt him. Despite knighthood not being his first choice, he's able to find worth in the lifestyle regardless, which helps endear him, in my opinion. His Python support is where his apathetic feelings get addressed by someone who is a bit more in touch with feelings than Clive is. In this support, Python learns that Lukas actually has a woman he liked back home, a woman he's been courting for years. However, Lukas finds that despite being apart from her, he doesn't exactly miss her presence, and when he sees Clive and Matilda being all lovey-dovey to each other, he especially becomes aware that he lacks that kind of passion for another. Python, though, reassures him, saying that Clive and Matilda are the strange ones for being so passionate, and that Lukas is fine the way he is. Normal, even. Python remarks that Lukas is still young. He has plenty of time to sort his feelings out, and he shouldn't feel forced to feel a certain way about anyone just because other people feel that way. Now, there are a few ways to interpret Lukas's lack of passion for his lady friend back home. One way to interpret it is that he's, well, you know. Another way to look into it is that Lukas is a man who's just more content living the bachelor's life. Some people don't need a lover and can be happy living by themselves, and Lukas may very well be a strong independent man who don't need no woman. Third, it could be that Lukas does feel love for her and others, he just doesn't show it the same way other people do. He might not be truly apathetic to everything, it's just that he can't convey those feelings to others, or himself, very well. The support leaves it up in the air what the answer is, so it's entirely up to the player to decide what Lukas's state of mind really is. Personally, I think it's the last option, that he does feel love for things because of his epilogue. It states that after retiring from knighthood, he ended up becoming a scholar after all, opening a school and becoming a teacher. This is him acting on his wish that nobles would stop hoarding education and resources from people that he addressed in his base conversations. But it also says that it won him many friends, and that he never longed for companionship because of it. But the phrasing of never longed for it could also have meant that he never wanted the companionship in the first place, so again, it's up to your interpretation. But regardless of your interpretation in that, Lukas is a ginger stud who's super relatable, super likable, and just an all-around treat whenever he's on the screen. It's no secret that I adore armor knights, and an absolute unit like Lukas is very far from an exception. Thank you all for coming to another Fire Emblem character analysis video. I love making these, you love watching these, let's just keep this going for as long as we can. As always, I'd like to thank the Green Brigand for looking over the script, and just in general helping out whenever I make a video. You're cool, man, thank you very much. If you enjoyed the video, please feel free to like the video, comment on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, follow the Discord or the Patreon, and join me in prayer so that we can manifest Vestoria Saga 2's localization. It'll come one day, I swear. Until next time,